All right. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Dave and RJ Real Estate Investors Podcast, also known as The Cream. And we are talking about cash flow, real estate, and money. So thank you for hopping on this video with us. And we're going to address some common questions that we've been getting on Facebook, on Instagram, a lot on TikTok. And it's a common question. I think, some of the viewers that are watching this right now are probably thinking the same thing, and it's probably resonating with you. And the questions really stem from, how do I get started in real estate investing? What, do I hire a mentor? Do I get, how do I wholesale houses? And how do I buy my first rental? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I got my man, Dave P, on the other end here, and he's going to start us off with talking about, how do I get started and where can I find a mentor? So Dave, why don't you take that?
Yeah. Well, first off, if you're listening to this right now and you're considering getting into real estate, I highly encourage you to do that. And real estate by far and wide is the best wealth building vehicle on the planet. And it's not just my opinion. It's proven the test of time. And there's so many ways to make money, so many ways to skin the cat with real estate. Allows you to use leverage, and we're big on that. And we're big on cash flow, as RJ mentioned. So congratulations on taking the first step and getting involved in real estate. And what I kind of notated here, if I was getting started again for the first time, I would definitely look to find a mentor, and not just the flashiest mentor who looks the coolest on social media, but somebody who's actually doing it, specifically somebody who's doing buy and hold investment properties and has a portfolio and is actively managing and working on building a portfolio. So we're going to get into wholesaling and why we think that wholesaling is the best way to get started when you're first getting, rolling here to improve your skills and whatnot. But ultimately, the end game should not just to be the biggest wholesaler in town. You should also want to start accumulating properties. So when you find a mentor, that could be somebody that you are actually selling properties to. So, it doesn't have to be the flashiest guy in the room. You might be able to find somebody, at different REIA meetings, but be open and just find somebody who is actively doing real estate and building a portfolio. And what I wanted to get into is just why I think wholesaling is the best way to get started if you're brand new. Because when you're new, what you don't want to do, what you don't need is a big project to take on. What you do need is a big check in your bank account. And the best way to get that is through wholesaling. And the reason that's so powerful is because it, provides the littlest risk to you. So as a real estate investor and entrepreneur, there's two big ways that you can lose in this business. Number one is writing a check out of your pocket. And typically you're going to be writing checks for rehabs and stuff like that when you're fixing up property. Fixing up properties and rehabbing properties is one of the riskiest things you can do in this business. And the second one is taking on debt that is going to eat you alive, and just bad debt because you bought a bad deal. Wholesaling allows you to get in the game and start, really improving your skills in talking to sellers, and comping properties is the big skills that you want to work on. But you don't have the risk of having to raise the money to buy the house and or fixing the property up and managing and, pose the risk of getting ripped off by a shady contractor or something like that. So where I kind of wanted to take this thing is find a mentor, ideally somebody who is actively building a portfolio, because that should be your end game, but improve your skills on talking to sellers, making offers, and finding good deals without taking the risk from wholesaling.
Yeah, and I have a good diagram here, or an example, a very simple example. What you're doing is essentially you're getting a distressed property in contract. Like, for example, here it's $50,000. You negotiated the deal, you got it in contract for 50, right? Your contract allows you to assign your rights to an end buyer. So you find, let's just say you went through the REIA and you found an end buyer, and you sell your uh, property for 60K. Essentially, you're selling your contract, all right? So then your buyer's buying it for 60, you have it in contract for 50. You go to the closing at the title company, and the title company signs you or wires you a check, or if you want the check written, then you can get it, pick it up at the title company. That's wholesaling. Very easy way to get into real estate. You can do this today. There's an app that you can literally drive around your neighborhood, find a house that looks run down, get the name and phone number of that owner from the app, and call them and negotiate to see if you can get that property in contract for half of its value. Right, that's a good place to start. Now we're talking about it as it's easy. The process of negotiations is probably the hardest part of this, right? But the process of wholesaling houses is very easy. So the next question that and if you guys want some resources, there are going to be some resources here in the video. The app that I'm talking about is Deal Machine, and if you use our promo code CREAM, you're going to get I believe $15 credits. So you can use the app, try it out, and let us know how it works out for you. I used it the other day on a house that I forgot that we bought. It's a funny story, but another video.
RJ found the most rundown house in the neighborhood, and he did a skip trace on it, and then he realized that he actually was the owner of the house.
So weird. So, so anyways, I want to address the other questions that we get, and it's how do we buy your first rental property? And guys, I know a lot of you are out there and have this question: where do I start? How do I get the money? And where I would start, and if I could do it all over again for my very first rental, is I would use what's called an FHA loan. So an FHA loan is a loan given out to the government if you're a first-time home buyer. It has the lowest down payment out of all the bank loans that are out there. And sometimes they could incorporate the down payment into the loan itself. So, if you are looking to get a rental property, I highly recommend doing it this way so that you can get a taste of what owning rental property is. And so the strategy is that you would get a house, or actually, I wouldn't recommend getting a duplex or even a 4 unit, because then you're going to be able to cash flow more. But you would go and use your FHA loan, put 3% down, or 3.5%, or 3, and you go and buy a duplex, right? And you're going to live in this unit. I believe you only have to live in there for about a year, but you live in this unit, you rent the other side, right? You rent the other side for, you make sure that you're vetting out who you're going to rent to, right? And that's another discussion, but you rent out the other side. And then now that renter, you living in one side, that renter covers your mortgage, and you're basically living for free. What it allows you to do is it allows you to get a taste of what it's like to actually own a property and collecting rent. Now you got to be very careful of who you're putting in there, and I don't recommend putting your friends and family into any of your rental units, even if it's a house hacking. That example that I showed you is called house hacking. Okay. It's where you buy a duplex or a multifamily unit, or even a house, rent out one of the rooms in the house, rent out the other unit, and it covers your mortgage and you're living rent free. But a couple rules with that is you still want to vet out who you're putting in as a renter, because then you're going to have a really hard lesson on landlording. And then two, friends and family just never work out, because the amount of drama that it's like, sometimes you have to kick them out. If you're kicking them out and you're going to see them at the Thanksgiving dinner table, it's going to make things awkward. So avoid that. And lastly, you got to also make sure that they can afford the monthly rent that you're charging. So you got to look at to see if they're gainfully employed. And there's some free resources out there that you can check. There's some on Bigger Pockets. I forget what it is, but I'm probably going to put it down on this video, that you can check the background and stuff like that. But even if you had to pay, it's still worth your money to pay $50 to $100 to do the background check. That's house hacking. So if you guys are watching this video and you want to get started, this is what we recommend. If we started all over again, this is how I would buy my first rental property. And as Dave mentioned, that's how, he would find a mentor and also get started in wholesaling. Dave, do you have anything else to add to the topics that we
No,
discussed?
I think that's great advice as far as not renting to your friends and family. And if we're going to piggyback on that, after you start to grow your business and you're starting to scale and actually hire people, don't hire your friends and family either. That's something, you don't want to mix business with family. The reason you're doing this business is so you can be successful, and then ultimately you could help your family in other ways. But sometimes that can actually stagnate your growth if you're dealing with personal issues within the business that you're trying to create. And the final thing is, if you're doing the house hacking, which I think is a great opportunity for you, if you're going to live in one of the units and rent the other, don't tell the person who's living in the other unit that you're the owner. Just say you work for the owner, because sometimes when tenants realize that you're a little bit new and you're the owner, they're going to try to sometimes take advantage of you and take advantage of the situation, whether they're family or not. It's just kind of human nature to do that. So never be the owner. Always say that you just work for the owner. And I think it might save you some confrontations that are unwanted when you're getting started in your real estate journey. That's it.
All right. Yeah. If you if you could please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be coming out with at least 3 videos a week on all the topics of cash flow, real estate, and money. And comment below if you have any questions. And we'll see you in the next video.